Welcome to the IGNOU distant learners. So we are going to continue our discussion on the topic Harappan civilization. That is the topic in the subject BHIC 131. In our first session, we had discussed about the discovery of the civilization, the importance of the discovery on Indian history, the sites of the Indus Valley civilization, and the material facts, the material things discovered in the sites or the artifacts. So these aspects we had discussed here pertaining to the Harappan civilization. Continuing the discussion, in this session we are going to speak on the commercial contacts of the Indus people and the religion of the Indus people. So learners, you can get a question about the religion of the Indus. So it may be asked for a middle category question, medium category question, or sometimes you may get it for a short note. The religion of the Harappan civilization. So we'll try to understand these two aspects here of the Harappan culture. So as we had noted, Indus Valley civilization, because of its economic prosperity, because of its economic growth, it had been referred as an urban civilization, and economic activities flourished a lot, whether it was agriculture or industrial aspect or trade. So no doubt agriculture was the main occupation of the people. However, trade was well developed and organized during the time of Indus Valley civilization or the Harappan civilization. So how was the trade carried out? What were the means of the transport? What were the import and the export? The routes that were used. So we are going to discuss here these aspects in the commercial context. But one thing to be remembered, that all these here the information we have to gather based on the archaeological sources. There are no written records, as still the Indus script is undeciphered. So the archaeological sources, depending on that, we have to know about the commercial contacts of the civilization. So apart from agriculture and industry, trade was very prosperous. Both inland trade and foreign trade grew. The people of here the Harappan civilization here gave lot of importance to this economic activity, and many people were involved in this activity. So if you look at here some of the sites of the Indus Valley civilization or the Harappan civilization, like Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, Chahundaro, Kalibangan, Lothal, Balakot, Sukat-Gencharo. These were all important commercial cities of the Harappan culture. They formed an important the internal trade centers. They were inland trade centers. So among all these, Mohenjo-daro was the most important commercial center. So it is estimated by the scholars, the city was large, having an area around about 300 hectares. And the traders from different cities of the Harappan culture as well as from the foreign land came to this place for the trade purpose. So it was called as the commercial hub of the Harappan civilization, Mohenjo-daro, one of the most flourishing city of the Indus. So this was an inland trade center. Likewise, Harappa was there, followed by Chahundaro, which was known for bead makings. The bead making center was Chahundaro, which today falls in Pakistan. Likewise, Kalibangan in Rajasthan was known for making of the bangles. So these here mainly the sites, they speak about the commercial here growth in the Harappan culture. Along with this, the port towns like Lothal, Balakot and Sukatganj, from where the foreign trade was conducted. So hence we can say both inland trade and foreign trade flourished. City to city the trades was carried out. And here land route as well as water route was used to move from one city to another city. And also the foreign trade was also carried out. The foreign trade was carried out with the Central Asia, the Sumeria. Sumerians and Harappan culture traders had a good contacts. This is evident from the seals that has been discovered. 7 seals of here Indus has been discovered in Sumeria and 3 seals of Sumeria have been discovered at Mohenjo-daro, which speaks about the trade contacts between these two. So the foreign trade also flourished. And in the foreign trade, we again find the routes that were used, water route as well as the land route. So land route to go to Sumeria was mainly in the northwestern part through the Hindu Kush mountains, Khyber and Bolan passes, by which they reached Sumeria. And in the land trade, to carry the goods, the transport was here with the help of the camels. Camel was the most important animal used for the transport of the goods in the trade. So in the land route we have the camels, and as we have seen, Kalibangan has yielded the evidence of the domestication of the camels. And even till today, Rajasthan is one of the leading state of India where the breeding and domestication of the camels takes place. So they have got their own commercial value in Rajasthan region. So it was in Indus Valley period, camels were domesticated and they were used for the trade purpose. For the land route it was more suitable. Likewise, sea route was also developed, or the water route was also developed. Lothal was one of the prosperous port town of Indus Valley civilization. Lothal, located on the banks of river Bogavo, was an inland trade center. Today this site falls in the state of Gujarat. It was one of the flourishing trade center, port town, where we have the evidence of a dockyard. The dockyard, warehouses, evidences has come down. Dockyard is a place where the ship here comes and makes the halt and loading and unloading of the cargo takes place. The evidence of the dockyard is present in Lothal. So Lothal, Balakot and Sukatganj were the port towns by which the sea route was carried. Boats, ferries were used in mainly these here sea route. So we find both land route as well as the sea route were very popularly used by the Indus people to carry on the trade with Sumeria or with Central Asia. And the nature of the trade that was there was the exchange of goods to goods, which we call it as the barter system. One good was delivered and another good was taken. Usually the surplus goods were delivered, deficient goods were here brought. That was the export-import policy followed. The Harappans exported food grains, ornaments, the cotton here, and in return they used to bring precious metals, precious stones from Central Asia. So this was how the trade was carried out. The barter system was followed. Currency was not in use. Monetary transaction was not there. However, then what was the use of these seals in the trade? The seals were used as an identification. They were used as a memento, as a token of friendship. That is here the usage of the seal. Seals are not to be compared with the money. They were just a memento or the token of identification. The seals were exchanged by the traders as a memento or as an identification or as a memory or for the mainly the friendship. So this was the use of the seals in the trade. Usually the seals which were used in the trade had the mark of the humped bull. It contained the humped bull here figure. That was noticed in most of the seals of the Harappan civilization. Likewise, here in the trade we find here lot of mainly the activities were performed. The trading activities had spread throughout the Harappan culture. It was not restricted to only one or two cities. It was a far-flung activity. So trade prospered to a lot. There was a lot of progress in the trade. Lot of development in the trade. So next to agriculture, we find trading activity was a prosperous economic activity. So they had these commercial contacts here with Central Asia, which is indicated through these archaeological evidences. We can speak about these, some of the here mainly about their commercial contacts, their trade contacts, their mercantile contacts. So it was a very prosperous here commercial activities going on in the Harappan culture region. So this information is gathered from whatever artifacts we have discovered, whatever here the material evidences has come down to us. We don't have any written records. So this is how you have to mainly try to analyze what is their mercantile activities, with whom they had the contacts, and how was the nature of their mercantile activities. So in the same way, here, how was the religion of the Indus? The religious activity. So we have a lot of information about the religion of the Indus. Indus people were very religious minded people. They were the worshippers of the idol. And we have discovered at many sites the mother goddess idols. So mother goddess worship was very popular. The mother goddess idols has been noticed in almost all the sites. So we can say that the worship of mother goddess was very popular. The female god that was worshipped. In the same way, they were also the worshippers of the male god, here identified as Pashupati. As John Marshall has used this word Pashupati, he calls Pashupati as proto-Shiva, resembling Shiva, identical to Shiva. So at Mohenjo-daro and at Lothal, we have discovered the Pashupati seal. The Pashupati seal has been noticed. So what do you mean by the term Pashupati? Pashupati is, Pashu means animal, Pati means the head of the animals. So on the seal we have a human figure surrounded with animals. So he was the head of the animals. Hence John Marshall used that word Pashupati. So the animals depicted on the seal are both wild animals as well as domesticated animals. For instance, we have got 5 types of animals on the Pashupati seal: tiger, rhinoceros, elephant, deer and buffalo. So if one notices these animals, here we can say that they were wild animals as well as domesticated animals. So Pashupati was the head of both the wild animals and the domesticated animals. The seal of Pashupati has given us the evidence of the worship of this god Pashupati, who has been termed as here Proto-Shiva, or he has been called as identical to Shiva by here John Marshall. So worship of Pashupati as well as Mother Goddess. Animism was also practiced. The practice of animism is the worship of the animals. And the most sacred animal of the Indus people was the humped bull. The bull was sacred to them. The worship of the bull, Mother Goddess and Pashupati was an indication of the elementary or the rudimentary form of Shaivism in India. Later, this developed into the Shaiva cult what we have. So, Mother Goddess is usually resembling to here Goddess Parvati or Durga. Pashupati resembling to Shiva, and the vehicle of the Shiva is here the bull. Hence, it is the elementary form of here Shaivism can be stated. So, this information is available from the material evidences which we have discovered. Along with this, the worship of nature objects was there. River was worshipped, sun was worshipped, moon was worshipped, trees were worshipped, mountains were worshipped. Hence, the worship of the nature was also noticed. So, the worship of the nature objects, the mainly idol worship, the animism was also practiced. One of the most important religious ritual was the worship of the ancestors. The ancestor worship was very popular, a religious practice among the Indian, here the Harappans. The worship of these ancestors was performed in the public places. In most of the sites we have discovered the public baths, which was used for the ancestral worship. They were having that here the sacredness. Public baths were not the use for the public for secular purpose, but it was for religious purpose they were used. And the offerings and the worship to their ancestors was made at this place. So that indicates this as one of the important practice of the Indus people. Followed by this, the disposal of the dead was also one of the important religious practices, customs. Funeral rituals forms an important religious aspect. So a systematic disposal of the dead was mainly followed by the Indus people. At many sites we have the evidences of the graveyards, like in Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, Lothal. We have found the graveyards which have helped us to know about the disposal of the dead, their funeral rituals, how the dead was disposed, that can be understood. So if one looks at the evidences discovered from these graveyards, we can see that here the mainly disposal of the dead was either by burning the body. So after the death of the person, it was burnt, or we call it as the cremation. Along with this, the body was also buried. Sometimes we find here the burials. So for burying of the body, the use of the coffin box, the coffin box was used. The evidence has come from here Harappa, Lothal. The coffin box evidence has come down. The body was placed in the coffin box. And if one notices how the body was kept, it was from north to south, the head towards the north, and here mainly the south the body was kept. So this was the practice here before the burial used to take place. It was placed in the coffin and the north to south. And along with that we have certain utensils here were also buried here along with the dead. So it is said that it was mainly a belief of the people that there was a life after death. So the soul here will lead the life. That is a belief here. That is why for the soul to lead its further life, here these things were buried along with the body. So burial and cremation, these were two popular here funeral rituals. But apart from this, there was another system which was noticed, and the evidence comes from Lothal. Lothal graveyard has yielded this evidence, and the evidence is of fractional burial. So very interesting aspect about this fractional burial. What you mean by this term fractional burial? So in the graveyard of Lothal we have found certain pots. Pots have been discovered which contain here only the human bones. The pots which are buried which contain only the human bones. So in case if the ash and the bones were present, we could have said that it was cremated and later it was put in the pot and it was buried. But we don't have the presence of the ash. Nor we have any here the evidence of the cremation of the body. The bones are there in the pot. What does it indicate? So this system is called as a fractional burial. After the death of a person, the body was exposed to the animals and the birds, and after whatever remained, here the bones were put in a pot and they were buried. So this system came to be called as the fractional burial. This evidence comes from Lothal. So this was the third system of mainly the burying. However, one has to notice this system here had been present in the other parts of the world. For example, the Zoroastrians follow this system, exposing the dead here to the birds. So it is a belief that even after the death, the body must be useful here as a food for the living organisms. So thinking this, they expose the body here to the dead. This system has been practiced. So Indus people were also following this system. Here the evidence is from Lothal. So three types of disposal of the dead was there. And another aspect from Lothal which we can notice is The pair of skeletons found in one grave, referred as the joint burial. It is called as the joint burial system. So this is the only evidence that has come from Lothal. Some scholars are of opinion that the practice of sati was there, but most of the scholars do not agree with this. Sati system was not here known to the people of Harappa. So the explanation about this joint burial is that the couple might have died at the same time and they have been buried at one place in one grave. This is the explanation can be given. So the disposal of the dead formed one of the important religious activity. So hence we find the Harappan people gave lot of importance to the religion. However, one should remember, in none of the sites we have discovered any evidences of the temple or a place of worship. Idol worship was there, nature objects were worshipped, animals were worshipped, but we do not find any here a particular place of worship here in the cities. So the people worshipped the gods in their homes. Animals were mainly worshipped there, nature gods were worshipped, but no place of worship was built for them. An independent place of worship was not there. So temples as such we do not come across in the Indus people. So this information what we have on commercial contacts and the religion. So from an examination point of view, learners, this can be one of the question from your examination. Try to here mainly get this information here through your study material also, and you can keep some of the points here what we have discussed today. So with this here we are closing this session, and in my next session we will be taking another topic from BHIC 131. So here study well here and mainly make yourself stay at home and prepare well for your mainly the examination. Thank you.